Hello there, Bobo the Big Hunter is back. Today we talk about the reserve currency, alright. It's a new international reserve currency, if I may say so. But currently, we have the US dollar as a reserve currency, right? What do you think of the US dollar now? It is still a reserve currency, but is it worth or trustworthy anymore? To analyze that, we need to go back to history. All right. In 1944, a coordinated agreement among 44 bigger economic countries agreed that the US dollars shall be the world reserve currency, so that all the other countries can use it as a benchmark to their own sovereign fiat while doing trade. It is also agreed that US dollars will be pegged to the gold at $35 an ounce. This is the Bretton Woods Agreement after World War II. And with that agreement, all international trade after that began to transact in US currency. Every dollar issued will be backed by gold, valued at $35 an ounce. It was all well and good, you know. But as time goes by, America began to take advantage of this privilege. Worse, they abuse it. They overspend the budget, finance all kinds of activities overseas, like a big untouchable brother. You know, foreign government to their dislike, they finance opposition to overthrow them. Countries who do not toe their lines on foreign policy, democracy, human rights, trade, or even if they only they are friendly to countries like China, Russia, Iran, Syria, etc., they will have their US dollar sanction with all kinds of excuses. They even invade countries as a final resort to topple the government. Look how evil these are. All this because the world depends on US dollars as a reserve currency, making US dollar a very powerful tool. And they take full advantage of that. They practically overspend their budget without regards to the affordability. This is living on credit going on for almost 27 years. Until when France, UK, Germany realized this, they wanted to exchange their US dollars for gold and start requesting for gold instead of US dollars, which was guaranteed under the Bretton Woods Agreement. You know what happened? 1971, President Nixon broke the gold guarantee promise. All American must surrender their gold to the government at $20 an ounce. Holding gold becomes illegal in America. This is how the US government behaves. Being a big brother, countries who hold gold at US vault has their asset devalued just overnight. American themselves is robbed off by their own government. Like previous governments before it, America had figured out how to game the global reserve currency for their own benefit, leaving foreign nations in an economically vulnerable position. For America and its citizens have tasted the sweet fruits of excessive living at the expense of other nations. They want to hang on to it forever, of course. So in order to ensure their economic hegemony and thereby preserve an increasing demand for the dollar, US elites needed a plan. For this to succeed, it will require that the artificial dollar demand that had been lost in the wake of the Bretton Woods agreement, Bretton Woods collapse, be replaced through some other mechanism. So the next move is a genius. US strike a deal with Saudi royal family. US would offer the military protection for Saudi Arabia's oil field. US will provide Saudi with weapons and, perhaps most important, guarantee protection from Israel. In return, the Saudi must agree to sell all the oils in US dollars only. And the Saudi will be open to investing the surplus oil proceeds in the US debt security. And just as the US had cleverly calculated, it did not take long before the oil producing nation wanted in. By 1975, all the oil producing nations of OPEC had agreed to price the oil in US dollars and hold their surpluses oil proceeds in US government debt security in exchange for a generous offer of protection by the US. Just dangle a weapon, military weapon, in this case military aid, and guarantee protection from Israel is in front of the third world oil-rich Middle Eastern country, the US nailed it. The global artificial demand for US dollars could not have remained, would not only remain intact, it actually soared due to the increasing demand for oil around the world. This new dollar for oil system was much more preferred over the former dollar for gold system, as it is economic requirements were much less stringent. Without the constraint imposed by the rigid gold standard, the US monetary base could be grown at exponential rates. This was one of the most brilliant geopolitical and economic strategies engineered by Henry Kissinger. Today, virtually all global oil trade settlements are done in US dollars, except for a few countries like China, Russia, Iran, Venezuela, etc. For countries that does not have a surplus of US dollars, they are forced to create a strategy to obtain them US dollars in order to buy gold, buy oil. So see how powerful the dollar for oil is. The petrodollar system has proven tremendously beneficial to the US economy. It increases the global oil demand, the global demand for US dollars. It increases the global demand for US debt securities. It gives the United States the ability to buy oil with a currency it can print at will. Clever now? The second point is the most brilliant aspect of the petrodollar system. It is requesting that oil nation take their excess oil profit and place it in the US debt securities. The petrodollar system is a dream come true for a spendthrift government like the US. With oil prices in US dollars, Americans can literally print money to buy oil, then have the oil producer hold the debts which was created by printed money in the first place. Print money, buy oil, money still with me. This distorted the true demand for government debt, which has permitted the US government to maintain artificially low interest. US has become dependent upon this artificially low interest rate and therefore have a vested interest in maintaining them through any means necessary. The massive economic distortion and imbalances generated by the petrodollar will eventually have to self-correct when the artificial dollar and US debt demand decline. As the world became increasingly dependent on oil, this system paid handsome dividends to the US by creating a consistent global demand for US dollar. With so many dollars floating around the globe, American asset prices, including houses, stocks, etc., naturally rose. Right? The oil market, and by extension, the entire global commodities market, is the insurance policy of the status of the dollar as reserve currency. If that block is taken out of the wall will begin to collapse. Question is, how long can this artificial dollar continue? Right? US becomes so used to printing money and they engage in wars after wars whenever they feel like or not happy with certain country. You look at the history. Vietnam War lah, Lebanese War lah, Libya lah, Panama lah, Gulf War lah, Iraq War lah, Croatian lah, and of course the latest Iraq and Afghanistan. Besides enriching the US arm industry, they continue to print money as though there are no tomorrow. Okay, but then come 2009, the subprime crisis, right? The printing money speed up. First, they labeled it as quantitative easing, which is supposed to be temporary. Then QE2, QE3, and when COVID-19 struck in March 2021, QE became permanent. It's a non-stop engine now. Meanwhile, inflation is raising its ugly head with all the money printed. America is digging its own grave deeper. With 30 billion and trillions of debts, it's down the path of no return, man. Already the world has no trust in US dollars. The rise of inflation is another nail in the coffin. Who in the world dare believe and trust US dollar anymore? Even Americans themselves don't trust their own currency now. It's a question of time the US dollar will lose its trust completely. The world already knows it. But as now, no choice, as most trade are still in US dollars. Over the last 5 years, we are beginning to see countries moving away from the US dollars at every opportunity. Even their elite country is forced to look for alternate solution. But there is no immediate solution that's in sight, right? Problem is, country normally don't trust another country. Everyone wants to have their own sovereign fiat under their own control. So, looking at the world's political and economic situation, solidity of country is breaking up. Peacefulness becomes a high price to pay. Right? Monetary stability even more complex. Who will trust who? Maybe we will go back to the gold standard. I can only think of Bitcoin being a digital gold. It's the only peaceful currency for the world people. No need to trust anyone. Just trust the proven sound system. Moreover, it is borderless. no government, no single government have authority over it. Anyway, I will leave this to another time where I will explore the Bitcoin potential as a trusted currency, not reserve currency. It's funny that I talk about geopolitics and currency issue, which was never my interest up to this age. Bitcoin helped me to improve my awareness on the world affair and currency in particular. Okay, see you next time. Don't forget to like. Bye bye.